Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to do a more dynamic flow type practice that focuses on mobility and flexibility in the spine and hips. Let's just get started and come to a seated position on the mat. We're just going to check in and ground in on the mat and make sure that we are really present for this practice. Begin by, you can sit however is comfortable for you. Just make sure that you have a tall, neutral spine that is light. It's not curved or forced. So if you need to put a blanket underneath your seat, you can do that, or a block if you have one, whatever is comfortable for you. You can place your hands on your knees and close your eyes if that feels good. And just take a few deep breaths, focusing on filling up your entire chest with air on the inhalation. And on the exhalation, push everything out. Keep pushing even when you think you've got it all. Deep inhalation. And exhale. Inhale one more time. And exhale. And now, after this nice gentle breathing exercise, I'd like to try a pranayama. Again, it's really nice to bring myself into my body and bring awareness about it. And this alternate nostril breathing is a really good practice for that. It takes quite a bit of concentration. And also, it is really good at balancing the nervous system. So I've had a little bit of a stressful day and just a lot going on, a lot for my body to handle today. So I'm going to do this practice before I begin any of the physical postures and help my body find balance. So we'll begin by bringing your right hand in front of your face. And basically, you will be using your thumb and your ring finger to block your nostrils. And you will begin by putting your thumb on your right nostril and then breathing in through your left side. Then closing both nostrils with your ring and thumb, holding your breath for 4 seconds, and then opening your thumb and breathing out of your right side for 8 seconds, and then you go back through the other side. So let's begin. Placing your thumb on your right nostril and breathing through your left nostril. Breathe in for 8 counts. Close both nostrils and hold for 4. Release your thumb and exhale out of your right nostril for 8. Inhale through your right nostril. Close both nostrils and hold for 4. Release your ring finger and exhale for 8 through your left nostril. Inhale. Close and hold. Exhale on the right side. Inhale. Close and hold. Exhale on the left side. Inhale. Close and hold. Exhale on the right side. Inhale. Close and hold. Exhale on the left side. And release. Bring your hands back to your knees. Again, you can close your eyes if that feels good to you. And take a few full deep breaths through both nostrils. These breathing exercises are really good to start the practice because it is the pace that we will go through the practice. And whenever we are in a posture and I say take a deep breath, I want you to imagine expanding your chest in this way and filling it completely and breathing intentionally through your nose and just creating space in the postures through your breath. So let's begin now. We've warmed up our mind and we've warmed up our breath. Let's begin by warming up our spine, coming onto all fours in tabletop position. Your knees should be about under your hips or a little wider, and your hands should be under your shoulders. So just find some movement here. I like to make big circles, moving my hips back over my heels and then forward again. Getting a little bit of stretching in my wrists while moving like this. And then switch directions. Find stillness in the center and we'll begin cat-cow. So beginning with cow position, bring your tailbone up towards the ceiling and lift your chin so that it's parallel with the floor. Drop your belly button towards the floor, towards your yoga mat, and breathe deeply here, filling your chest, pulling your chest forward to the front of your mat as you do. Bring your shoulder blades back together and down your spine. And on your next exhalation, tuck your chin towards your chest and tuck your tailbone towards your forehead. Pull your spine up towards the ceiling, coming into cat pose. Push your hands into the ground, creating more space between your shoulder blades. Inhalation back into cow pose. And exhale into cat pose. You can move between these two postures at your own pace. Remember to take deep breaths. Begin rocking back and forth over your wrists as you move between these two postures. And find stillness at center. Spread your knees really wide, wider than your mat, and sink your hips back over your heels. Walk your hands forward a little bit and then put your forehead onto the mat and we'll come into child's pose. Take a deep breath here, filling your lungs, creating space in your chest. And then exhale, settling into the posture. If you need to, you can put a blanket underneath your seat above your heels. You can put a block there as well to make it a little bit more accessible for you. Breathe deeply here. Walk your hands up towards your body, coming upright. Bring your knees together and move back into tabletop position. Now we're going to warm up our muscles, and we'll do that by moving through this really dynamic flow. Begin by finding a really firm ground beneath you, making sure that your hips are in line with your knees, and putting all of your weight, or most of your weight, onto your left hand and your right knee. Lift your right arm forward in front of you with your palm facing inward, and lift your back leg in a straight line to the back of the mat. Line your hips up so that both hip joints are facing the mat, and breathe through your chest to broaden that space, creating a strong back. And on your next exhale, bring your elbow and your knee together, tucking your chin and curling up in a ball. Inhale back out, keeping your hip joints facing downward, and exhale in, bringing your knee and your elbow together. Inhale and exhale, bringing everything together. Inhale one more time, and exhale, closing in towards yourself, and then coming back into tabletop. You can adjust here a little bit, shake it out, take a deep breath. We'll do the same on the other side, putting your weight into your right hand and your left knee. Lift your arm in front of you, facing your palm inward, and lift your back leg up into a straight line. Checking your hip joints so that they're both facing downward. Take a deep breath, open your chest to the front of the mat. And on your next exhale, bring your elbow and your knee together, tucking your chin towards your chest. And then inhale up, extending your arm forward and your legs straight back. And exhale, bringing your knee and your elbow together. Again, inhale, extending. Exhale, bringing everything together. Inhale. Reach through your toes and your fingers. And exhale, bringing your knee and your elbow together. And back into tabletop. Come back into child's pose in whatever form. You can have your knees wide or closer together. Bring your head down to the yoga mat. Walk your hands forward a little bit and take a deep breath. Pushing yourself up onto all fours again. Come to tabletop and then tuck your feet under so that your toes are flat on the ground, and push your hips up to the sky, coming into downward facing dog. Your legs will be straight and you will be making an upside down V facing the ground. Lift your hips up towards the ceiling and pedal your feet a little bit, just warming up your legs in this posture. Finding what your limit is, where you get a good stretch, but you're not really pushing yourself or hurting yourself. A regular practice will help with your flexibility, not pushing too hard. Spin your biceps forward and out and feel how that broadens between your shoulder blades behind your back. Bend your legs and lengthen your spine, lifting your hips even further up towards the ceiling. And let your head dangle. Take some deep breaths here. On your next inhalation, roll forward, hunching your shoulders like we're in cat pose, and bring your shoulders over your wrists. Drop your hips and exhale. Coming into up dog, lifting your chin. Take a deep breath. Flip your toes and push back into downward facing dog. And we'll do that a couple more times. Take a deep breath in. As if you're a wave that's about to crash on a shore. Roll forward over your wrists and then drop your hips and breathe. On your next inhalation, tuck your toes, pushing back into downward facing dog. Take a deep breath here. Again, on your next inhalation, rounding your shoulders and bringing them over your wrists and then dropping your hips, lifting your chin to look forward. And breathe. Tuck your toes and we'll go back into downward facing dog. Deep breaths here. Lifting your hips, always broadening the space in your back whenever you come into downward facing dog. Inhale, and one more time we'll come over our wrists, hunching our shoulders forward. Drop your hips, and then this time let your knees rest on the ground and just swing your hips a little bit back and forth or roll them from side to side right here. Find what is comfortable and possible for you. I really like this because it stretches my hips on the fronts and sides, and it even brings a little bit of movement to my lower back that I don't normally get. Just dropping your left hip to the ground on your left side and then your right hip to the ground on the right side. Coming back to center, push your hips back, come back into child's pose, resting your forehead on the ground and your hips over your heels. Take some deep breaths here. Fill your lungs with air all the way down, taking up the space between your body and your yoga mat by filling your lungs with so much air. And then let it all out. Okay, walking your hands up towards your body once again. We'll come back into downward facing dog. Pedal your feet. Find that comfortable spot again, maybe pedaling a little bit deeper to feel some stretches in your hamstrings. Bringing your chest open to the left side when you bend your right knee deeply. And hold here for a little bit. Feeling the stretch in the back of your leg and your calf and your hamstrings. And then switch sides, bending your left leg deeply and opening your chest to your right side. And come back to center. On your next inhalation, lift your right leg up to the sky, keeping your hip joints facing downward. And then on your next exhalation, bring your knee towards your nose and hunch over, trying to meet your forehead to your knee. Inhale your leg back up towards the sky, hips facing the same way towards the ground, and exhale your knee to your right elbow. Inhale, lifting your leg back up, and exhale your knee to your left elbow. One more time. Inhale your leg all the way up and place your right foot back onto the yoga mat. Take a few deep breaths here, settling after that warm up. And on your next inhalation, lift your left leg up into the air, keeping your hip joints both facing downward. And exhale, bringing your knee to your nose, your chin to your chest. Inhale your leg up, straight. Exhale your knee to your left elbow. Inhale up, keeping both hips pointing downward. Exhale your knee to your right elbow. Inhale and lift your leg one more time. Place your left foot down on your yoga mat, and again take a few deep breaths here in downward facing dog. Always lifting your hips towards the ceiling in this posture. Now either step or walk or jump, whatever way you want. Come up to the front of your mat, bringing your 2 feet together, bringing your feet together and letting your torso hang, letting gravity pull you towards the floor. Bend your knees deeply so that way there's not a strain on your hamstrings, and instead we're letting our spine stretch out thanks to gravity. And slowly, one vertebrae at a time, roll up to standing. Breathing slowly as you do it. Let your head be the very last thing that comes upright. Take a deep breath in. Broaden your collarbone by bringing your shoulder blades together and down your spine. Breathe deeply. Push your hips forward a little bit. And lift your chest. Open your palms to the front of the mat. And if it's comfortable for you, close your eyes. A deep breath. On your next inhalation, step your left foot back towards the back of your mat. And you'll line up your heels so that way when your right leg is facing forward, your toes are facing straight forward, and your left foot is somewhat parallel to the back of your mat. You can turn it in slightly. Go as wide as just beyond your elbows, almost towards your fingertips. And we will begin by going into Warrior 2. Face both of your hip joints to the open side of your mat and lift your hands up to the side. Bring your shoulder blades back and down your spine. Lift your chest, and on your next exhale, bend your front knee without compromising any of the setup that we just did. Take a peek at your big toe and make sure that you can see it. You don't want your knee to collapse inward over your big toe. Once you have that set up, your chest is still open and your hips facing the side of your mat. Gaze over your front fingertips. Take a deep breath. Breathing deeply here. Hold this posture, checking in with everything we did to get here. On your next inhalation, drop your back hand towards your back leg and lift your front hand up towards the sky. Taking a deep breath, open your chest, filling it with air. Sinking deeper, bring your front knee over your ankle. Breathe. On your next exhale, bring your front arm towards your front knee. You can place it in front of the knee, pushing it back so that way it's not collapsing over your foot. Bring your left arm up towards the sky. And open your chest here so that you can actually feel the stretch in your left hip. Sinking your hips a little bit deeper if that's possible for you. Breathe. Come back up to center with both arms extended out sideways. Take a deep breath here. And come back to the front of your mat. Both feet together. Shake it out a little bit. Take a deep breath here. Taking a moment to open your chest. Lift it. Drop your shoulder blades down your spine, pulling them together. Push your hips forward slightly. And recenter with a few deep breaths. Now step your right foot back and your left foot to the front of the mat, keeping your front foot facing forward and your back foot somewhat parallel to the edge of your mat and your heels in line. You can always widen your stance as much as you want if balance is an issue for you, but ideally your heels are in line. Bringing your hip joints facing to the side of the mat and lifting your chest, opening your shoulders by bringing your shoulder blades together and down your spine. Bring your arms out sideways and look over your front fingertips. On your next inhalation, slowly bend your front knee, checking to see that you can see your big toe. Get everything lined up properly. Take a deep breath in, lifting your chest. And exhale, go a little bit deeper into this posture, keeping your entire body facing the side of your mat. On your next exhale, drop your back hand towards your leg, lifting your front hand to the ceiling. Take a deep breath in, open your chest, and exhale, sinking a little deeper into this posture. Checking on your front knee to make sure it's not collapsing inward. Inhale and bring your front arm over your bent knee and your back arm up towards the ceiling. And sink a little bit deeper. Open your chest and search for that stretch in your right hip. Sinking deeper if you need to or can. And inhale back to warrior two and center. Finding the alignment with your hips facing the side of the mat. And your arms extended sideways, opening your chest. Take a deep breath. And release, coming back to the front of your mat. Bringing your feet together, take a deep breath in, lifting your chest, pulling your shoulder blades together and down your spine. And exhale, pushing your hips forward. Take a couple deep breaths here, concentrating on filling your entire chest cavity on the inhalation, and expelling any type of air that might be trapped in your lungs. On your next inhalation, bring your hands up all the way overhead, pushing your hips forward slightly so you get a slight back bend. And exhale, bringing them forward to the ground into a forward fold. Take a deep breath in, lifting your chest slightly so that your head is in line with your hips. You can keep your knees bent here. And exhale, folding, bringing your stomach all the way to your thighs with your knees bent deeply. On your next inhalation, plant your hands onto the mat and step back into plank, bringing everything mostly in line as best as you can, keeping your shoulders over your wrists. Open your chest towards the front of the mat and see if you can get your knees and your hips and your shoulders in a straight line. On your next exhalation, bend your elbows, keeping your arms tucked towards your body, and slowly come down to the ground. Untuck your toes. Bring your elbows to under your chest, putting your hands face down, palms open on the ground, and straighten out a little bit. With strong legs, pulling your legs together so that your thighs are tucking inward. Push your hips forward on the ground, and with a strong base in your forearms, pull your chest forward and open towards the front of the mat. And take a few deep breaths here. Release. Bring your palms to underneath your shoulders, tuck your toes, and push up into downward facing dog. Breathe. Turning your biceps to the front of the mat and then out, creating massive space between your shoulder blades. On your next inhalation, lift your right leg up towards the ceiling. Bend your right leg and bring your knee towards your nose, stepping your right foot all the way forward to the front of the mat, if that's possible for you. You can also grab your ankle and just walk your foot forward, or find yourself in this lunge position. Align both hip joints so that they are facing forward. And with a strong back and with your knee over your ankle, come up into high lunge. Take a deep breath in, creating space in your chest, lifting up towards the sky. And exhale, sinking a little deeper. Bring your palms together at your chest and move your torso over your front thigh. Turn towards your right, placing your left elbow on your right knee, and push through your knee to open your chest towards the side of the mat. Breathing deeply here. Release, coming back up to high lunge. And bring your hands to the ground. Take your right foot back to the back of the mat and come back into downward facing dog. Deep breaths here. We'll do the same on the other side. On your next inhalation, bring your left leg up all the way to the ceiling as much as you can, keeping your hip joints facing down. And then bending your left leg, bring your knee to your forehead and drop your left foot to the front of your mat in between your hands. Take a moment to line up your hips so that they're both facing the same direction, down and slightly forward. Create a strong back. Check that your knee is over your ankle. And then lift yourself up, coming into high lunge. Straighten your hips so that they're facing the front of your mat. Push through your back knee towards the back of the room. Take a deep breath in, lifting your chest. Exhale deeper into the pose. On your next inhalation, bring your palms together in front of your chest and exhale, lowering your body over your leg, turning your body and tucking your right elbow over your left knee and opening it up for this twist, taking a deep breath to create space in your chest. Release, coming back up to high lunge. Lifting your chest. And bring your hands down to the floor. Stepping your left foot back to downward facing dog. Take a deep breath. Pedal through your feet here. Drop your knees to the mat. Open them as wide as you can or want to. And then drop your hips back to over your feet. Putting your forehead on the mat. And leaving your arms extended in front. Come into child's pose. Breathe deeply, slowly. Walking your hands towards your body and bringing your knees together. Transfer yourself to your seat, bringing your feet in front of your body, extended straight forward. Flexing your feet, bring them up towards the ceiling and push the backs of your knees into the mat. Lift the fleshy part of your bum. And what I'm trying to do is find a straight spine. You can place a yoga blanket or any kind of blanket really, a block underneath here. Ooh. And that will help you lengthen your spine upward and make it light and easy so you're not like forced in this posture trying to reach where you maybe naturally aren't or it's tight or something. Anyway, so keep your feet extended like this, flexed, pushing your knees into the ground, and with a light straight spine, slowly walk your hands as far as you can. Taking a deep breath in, fill your chest with air, creating length in your spine, pushing down through the backs of your knees. And exhale, forward fold over your feet, collapsing your spine and pulling yourself in towards your legs, feeling the stretch in your lower spine. Deep breath here. Again, inhale, lifting your chest up, pulling it forward towards the front of the mat, pushing down into the mat with the backs of your knees, and exhale, collapsing forward. Inhale, lifting your chest up one more time, creating length in your spine, pushing into the mat with your legs. Exhale, forward fold, releasing. Slowly roll back up to upright, one vertebrae at a time. Now bend your left leg, tucking your left heel to just outside of your right hip, if you can reach that, and if not, then towards that general direction. And with your left knee facing forward to the front of your mat, take your right heel and again, as far as you can towards your left hip, Whatever is your limit, that is your limit, and that's okay. If you have really tight hips, this will be very challenging for you, so you can play with where your feet go. You can open them, you can find what feels good for you in this stretch. So I like to put my hands on the mat in front of me and lift myself up and just line my legs up so that they feel fairly equal and I'm not leaning to one side or the other. Both knees are stacked on top of each other, and just place your hands on your knees, and with a tall spine, take a few deep breaths here. This is a very deep stretch, so we don't really need to do much except for sit here. And release. We'll do this on the other side. Taking your right heel to your left hip and your left heel to your right hip, coming onto your hands to sort of adjust and make sure that everything's in line and your knees are directly over each other. Both sits bones they have contact with the ground. You can open or close your legs as much as you need to, and we'll just place our hands right on our knees, sit upright, take a few deep breaths here. And release. Bringing your feet to the front of your mat and scooting your hips forward a little bit. Come all the way down onto your back. Bring your knees towards your chest as far as you can, trying to keep a flat back on the mat. So you can either hold onto your knees with your hands or hold onto your shins or even the backs of your thighs. If you can, wrap your arms around your knees like a hug, and we'll sit here for a moment and take a deep breath. Extend your left leg all the way out, trying to push it into your yoga mat, and pull your right knee into your chest as much as you can, maybe even slightly outside of your chest to the right. Deep breath. And keeping your left leg pushing into your yoga mat, bring your right knee to your left side for a nice deep twist here. Extend your right arm out to your right side and turn your gaze towards your right fingers. You can place your left hand on your knee and hold it down, keeping your left leg strong and straight. Take a deep breath here, letting your right shoulder sink towards the floor. And release slowly, bringing your head to center, using your left hand to bring your right knee back to center. And bring your left knee towards your chest. Again, hugging your knees towards your chest as much as you can, whatever variation that looks like for you. Take a deep breath in, filling the space between your legs with your chest. And exhale. Release your right leg, extending it all the way to the front of the mat, pushing into the mat with the back of your right knee, and pull your left knee into your chest, slightly outside of it to the left. Keeping your right leg, your extended leg, in firm contact with the ground. Pull your left knee in. Take a deep breath here. Using your right hand, bring your left knee over to the right side of your mat. Dropping it to the floor, keeping your right leg strong and straight, and extending your left arm over to the left. Turn your gaze towards your left fingertips. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, letting your left shoulder blade drop towards the floor. And release, coming back to center. You can use your right hand to bring your knee back to center with both of the soles of your feet planted firmly on the ground. Walk them towards your hips a little bit. Place your hands on either side of your body, palms face down, and adjust your shoulder blades so that you bring them together and it creates a nice firm foundation for your back. With everything in place, take a deep breath in and lift your hips up towards the ceiling. And exhale, pushing into your feet, into the ground. Take a few deep breaths here. Lifting your hips up to the ceiling on every inhalation. And pushing into the ground with your feet on the exhalation. And release. Sway your knees back and forth as if they are windshield wipers, releasing some of your lower back. Extend both legs forward, and we'll come into the final resting pose, Shavasana. You can let your feet flop open if you like that. Bring your arms out a little bit, palms face up. Take a deep breath in, filling your chest completely. And exhale. Do a quick body scan and see if you find any areas where maybe you're holding a muscle so that you can stay in a certain position. Release that and let your body just relax completely into your mat. Breathing deeply and slowly. Take a deep breath, filling your lungs once again completely with air. And exhale, release. Begin wiggling your fingertips and your toes, making circles with your wrists and your ankles. And come onto your side in the fetal position as the halfway point between resting and sitting up. And pause here for a deep breath. With your top arm, push your hand into the ground and bring yourself up to a seated position. Tuck your left foot into your pelvic bone and bring your right foot as close as you can to that. I like to put it in this little nook on my left foot. You could put it in front of you or whatever's comfortable. Slip a blanket underneath your seat if you need to. Bring your spine upright so it's relaxed and light. You're just floating on top of this nice strong base. Bring your hands to your knees. Take a deep breath in, lifting your chest. And exhale, bringing your shoulder blades together and down your back. You can close your eyes if that feels good. Take a deep breath in, lifting your chest. And exhale. Breathe deeply and slowly here for a moment. You can stay here as long as you would like. Pause the video so that way you have a moment to meditate. Otherwise, I hope that you enjoyed this class that is focusing on flexibility of the spine and hips while having long holds that are quite challenging. Let me know what else you would like to see, and I will see you in class.